And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, our keynote today. Kai Kight is an innovative violinist, composer, and speaker who has inspired thousands to reach their own creative potential. He brings his message to conferences, companies, and organizations across the world. With a diverse background, Kai holds an engineering degree from Stanford University's Design School, and as a violinist, has performed in venues including the White House and the Great Wall of China. Kai brilliantly uses music as a metaphor to empower people at many of the world's leading organizations, from the Walt Disney Company to PricewaterhouseCoopers to the Super Bowl winning Seattle Seahawks of the NFL. Listen closely as Kai shares his story and leaves you with ideas that you can take to compose your own breathtaking creations. Please join me in welcoming Kai Kight.
Thank you. When I was younger, I was probably the most typical classical violin student that you could imagine. So I played in all the quartets and orchestras in my school. I played nothing but Mozart and Beethoven, all the music that you hear on the Diamond commercials. I was following the set rules, and I was on that path to hopefully join a symphony one day. That was my aspiration. But a few years ago, some news came into my life that changed that path for me. I was at my parents' home in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. And one night, my mother, she slowly walked into the room that I was in. And I could see that she was crying. This was the night she told me that she had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And for those of you here today who have dealt with something like that personally, you know that when you hear news like that, your mind, it just races with questions about what's to come. The only thing you can think about is what's next. But her tears that night, they weren't tears from thoughts of the chemo, the radiation, the surgery, the physical pain that she would eventually go through. No. They were from thoughts of the past. You see, for 25 years at this point in her life, she had worked at a job after college, slowly rising up the set ranks in front of her. But this was the night, the first time that she told me her true dream of wanting to open a jewelry store, and how she loved building things and always saw herself as someone who would work creatively. And she spent hours telling me all these different stories of regret about things that she didn't do, and how her mindset had been trained throughout her life to avoid taking a risk. I want to tell you a little bit about where I come from. So both of my parents are from the South. My dad's from a small town outside of Savannah, Georgia. And my mother, she's from a small town outside of Columbia, South Carolina. It's called Winsboro. Has anyone heard of it? 2 people? Okay. So that Winsboro is where I spent my summers growing up. And my mother, she was one of 8 siblings, my aunts and uncles. And they all grew up, they were born and raised in a 1-bedroom house that was a fraction of the size of this room today. But what they lacked in money and what they lacked in material possessions, they made up for very well in status in the local community. You see, my mom, her 2 older brothers, my uncles, were the first 2 in town to go to college. One of her sisters was a star basketball player. My aunt, she even got the key to the city. Her older sister, my mom's older sister, my aunt, was a student body president every year, straight A's every semester. And so in that house they grew up in, while the inside of their refrigerator was empty on some nights, the outside of that fridge was always packed. It was always covered with collages of newspaper clippings, of report cards, any artifact that could be the symbol of success. And so there was this feeling for my mother that if she deviated from this track at all, if she didn't follow the standard, then she could lose everything. And that life seemed so fragile that any wrong move, any misstep could break the ground below her. And so what did she do? She taught herself how to tiptoe through life, to walk lightly on life, never daring to stray away from the straight line that was in front of her, and never daring to make an imprint on the world with her own 2 feet. And so we spent hours talking about this to 2 or 3 a.m. that night. And she was telling me all these stories of sadness and regret, but I'll never forget it because there was this beautiful moment where in the midst of all of this, I saw a second person in her eyes. And that second person was free, because at that moment they realized that these limitations, these restrictions that had guided her throughout her life were now insignificant in comparison. And I'll never forget it. It was like 3 a.m. in my room, and it was the end of the conversation. And she just smiled at me and said, "Well, I guess I have nothing to lose now." And that's when it hit me, that I was going to do everything I could to be that second person I saw within her. Someone who was free to take risks, to bring all of myself to the world. You see, the truth is, I started playing the violin when I was 3 years old. And even when I was very, very young, I always had this idea of creating my own unique style of music on the violin. But I had never gone out to do it. I'd never shared it with anyone because I was scared of what people would think. Classical music to me seemed like this immovable 400-year-old force, right, with so much structure and history and tradition. And I grew up asking myself, who am I to challenge that? But this conversation, it moved me to challenge those beliefs and to view the music of Mozart and Beethoven not as the end-all, be-all, not as everything, but as one person's beautiful perspective. And I learned to appreciate that I could offer my own to the world. And so around this time is when I began to compose my own music on the violin, including the piece that I just played for you. And in my work, in my creations, I aim to connect the classical world with melodies and rhythms from genres such as hip hop and jazz that I also appreciate. And for me, after nearly 20 years with the instrument, I'd finally begun to bring my own unique sounds, my own unique vision to the world, instead of just playing notes that other people had written. The question I invite each of you to ask yourselves today is, when it comes to your life, when it comes to your path, when it comes to your profession in this industry itself, are you bringing new music to the world? Or are you just playing notes that have already been written in the past? Are you creating the sounds for tomorrow? Or are you just accepting the sounds, living within the sounds from yesterday? And when I say sounds, I literally mean the sounds. The inner voices that go on in your head. The spoken culture around your friend groups, your communities, your organizations, the limiting beliefs that something cannot be changed just because it's been done the same way for years. You see, ever since this conversation I had with my mother a few years ago, who I'm fortunate to say she's healthy and she's doing well now, thank you. Thank you. But ever since this conversation with her, I've been almost haunted with a question that remains in my mind every single morning. And that's, what would each of our lives look like if we didn't need a diagnosis from a doctor to realize that we need to act with urgency behind our ideas? Right? And what would we be able to collectively create as groups, as families, as communities, as organizations, if we didn't need a diagnosis from a doctor to realize that we need to embrace new possibilities and bring all of ourselves to the world? I hope you don't mind me asking, but how old are you? You? Huh? 20? What's your name? Nice to meet you. So 20 years old. The average life expectancy in this country is 78. In 10 years, it's probably going to be 85. Can you imagine what your life would look like if for the next 60 years you woke up every single day feeling like you had nothing to lose? Feeling like whatever idea that you had to take action on it now? Can you imagine the music you would be able to create in your life? So this is the question I can't get out of my mind, because I see this opportunity in every single person. It's right there. Can you imagine? So a little bit more about me. I'm not just a violinist, and I'm not just a composer, but I'm also a speaker as well. And I share this message with people across the world. And for the last 2 years, I've spent a lot of my time reflecting, thinking. And not just about my own transformation as an artist, but thinking, almost doing research on the mindset changes that happened in my mother pre-diagnosis and post-diagnosis. I'm a student. I'm just curious about what's the difference in someone's mind when they realize that they should bring their ideas to the world. And I've dedicated myself, I've spent the last year sharing my findings, sharing my message with people across the world. So in places like Amsterdam, Berlin, Mexico, as she said, Disney, and I worked with the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson, all those guys. I've spoken to them. And amongst all these people across the entire world, so many different fields and industries, everyone looking to find ways to bring more of themselves to the world, I found one common thread amongst everybody. And if you can do this, like, the world is literally yours. And that idea is this: make a practice of defining your purpose. Make a practice of defining your purpose. And I say make a practice of it because I believe that we are dynamic creatures, right? The purpose I have now is going to change in 5 or 10 years, right? But in anything you do, you have the opportunity to decide what you will take from it. Something my mom said that night was that if life were a river, she was just going with the flow, going with the current. She'd never put her own stake in the ground, right? She never determined her own course of direction. She was just waiting for other people in front of her to set the current, and she would just follow behind. She was waiting. And when she said this, I realized that I was doing the exact same thing in my life as a musician. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. So, who here has gone to see an orchestra perform live before? A lot of people? Okay, so maybe half the group. Now, for those who haven't, there's this very particular span of time that occurs between when the orchestra members take the stage and when the conductor takes the stage. And what happens is, before the real music starts, and while the audience members are filing in, taking their seats, all the players will come on stage and make random sounds and just warm up so that it's not silent and awkward as the audience waits. And when I was younger, when I was in an orchestra, this was my favorite part of the show. And let me tell you why. While the people to my right and the people to my left would be, warming up to the Beethoven that we were about to perform, I would use this time for a slightly different reason. I remember I would sit back in my chair, and off the top of my head, I would just kind of improv. I would jam, and I would come up with these different kind of jazz-infused rhythms. And I would sit back, and I would look out into the audience, and I would pretend like everyone was there to see me. Right? This was my showtime in my mind. And I would I would do this every single show, and even though no one in the audience could hear me from anyone else, in my mind, they were always loving it, right? And so we would be on stage doing this for about 5 or 10 minutes, making random sounds. And then all of a sudden, the lights would dim. Everyone in the audience would get really quiet. This meant it was time for the conductor to take the stage. And so we'd all sit up straight, button our jackets, and the conductor would proudly walk from behind stage and take the podium and raise his hands. And this meant it was time for the real music to begin. He would wave his hands and we would start playing. But this is the exact point when my energy would drop. This is the point when my spirit would fade. Because my spirit was with that other music. That music that nobody heard. And I remember after each performance, I would go home and I would look back. When I would be playing this music on stage, I would write it on the sheet music, right? And I would go home after each performance and I would look back at the notes I had written. I would marvel at them and I would hope that one day a conductor would raise his or her hands to start my music. But it never happened. And so I would wait, and I would wait, and I would wait. But it really wasn't until this conversation with my mother that I realized I could not afford to wait any longer. I believe that so many of us, we wait for a conductor, someone external, someone else to legitimize and approve what we can bring to the world. We wait for someone else to put their stamp on the sounds, the ideas, the music that we can offer. And I want to tell you today that each of you, especially the scholars today, that you yourself are your own personal brand that only you can define. Not your friends, not even your parents, not your mentors, only you can define that, not the world around you. Now, when the world looks at me, let's be honest, they don't see a violinist. They might see a basketball player. And yeah, I play basketball. But they definitely don't see a violinist. Like I said, I've started playing the violin. I started playing when I was 3 years old. And I've had hundreds of experiences of people telling me what I could and could not do because of the way I looked. I remember in middle school, I was the only black student in the Maryland All-State Orchestra. A sea of 150 other white and Asian students, and I was the only black student there. People coming up to me, surprised, telling me black people don't play the violin. Kids can be mean. It can be really mean. I remember high school. It was the first day of school one year, and I went to go to the music center to pick up my violin to take it home so I could practice that same violin right there. There was a new teacher at school. He didn't know who I was. It was the first day. I go to pick up the violin. He says, "Stop, wait." He thought I was stealing it. That violin right there that I've had for almost 10 years, he thought I was stealing it. And these experiences, they hurt. They hurt. They make me feel like the other, like the world that's right around me is not for me. They hurt. But I decided at a very early age, that these experiences were not going to be a source of any self-doubt. And I decided at a very early age that these experiences were not going to be a source of my anger towards the world, even though it might be warranted. But I made the decision that each one of these experiences of someone trying to stereotype me or put me in a box, that each of these experiences were going to be the primary source of my confidence. Because when they happen, in my mind, here's what happens. I don't get mad. I don't get angry. I don't even try to prove them wrong. I just smile internally. Because I know with 100% certainty that I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the very best at what I do. And I know with 100%, thank you. Thank you. And I know with 100% certainty that if I do that, there is going to be a day, it may not be today and it might not be tomorrow, but there's going to be a day where that person who tried to limit me is going to see me doing what I love at the highest level. And the only thing they're going to be able to do is sit back and say, "Damn, I was wrong." And I know that's going to happen. Guys, I'm 23 years old. I'm 23. I graduated from Stanford 13 months ago to this day. I'm in the Bay Area. Thank you. I graduated 13 months ago. And as graduation was approaching, I had this idea that I could be a speaker, that I could offer something to say. And not just speak at, middle schools and elementary schools and high schools, even though I do that, not just to do that. There's a lot of college-age students that are doing that. But I had the idea in my mind that I could be international, that I could have something to say to some of the most important organizations in the world. I had that idea. And it just so happened that as graduation was approaching, one of my friends that I knew since I was 14 years old was coming out to Stanford to hang out for a weekend. And he asked me what I was going to do. He had a job lined up already. And he asked me what I was going to do, and I told him. And he was just like, I hate to break it to you, but that's just not a thing. That's what he said. He said it's not a thing. He said, I mean, no one's going to hire you to do this. No one's going to pay you to do that. What are you thinking? You know what he said, too? Because he already had a job lined up. So he even offered that I could stay on his couch while I figured out my next move because it wasn't going to happen. And I'm sure we've all had experiences where the people closest to us are the first to limit our ideas. Right? So many ideas die that way. And so he said this. We were actually driving in the car. He was driving my car at the time. I don't know why. But he said this, and I didn't try to argue him back. I didn't get mad. I didn't doubt what I was trying to do. I just kind of nodded and said, interesting. All right. Well, then we talked about something else. But I was smiling. I was laughing internally because I knew I had a plan in place and that eventually he was just going to have to sit back and watch. And so you know what happened 4 weeks ago, exactly a year after my graduation, 4 weeks ago, was when I was up at the Seattle Seahawks organization with all the different players there. And after I presented there, I posted a picture on Instagram with one of the players, Jimmy Graham, the new tight end they have. This kid was the first person to text me. And all he said was, you proved me wrong, and maybe the world's a little bit bigger than I thought. You see what happened? When you don't just go with the current of what other people think, and when you set your own intention, you not only do great things, and you not only prove people wrong, and yeah, that feels nice, but you can change mindsets. You can change the way people perceive the world around them, and that is the greatest impact you can make as a human, I believe. And I just want to say that anyone here, especially the scholars, if you find yourself in a position where someone is trying to limit you, where someone's trying to stereotype you or put you in a box, you don't have to fight back. You don't have to prove them wrong or anything like that. Just smile and say, interesting. And know that you have the greatest power in changing the way they perceive the world by what you bring to the world yourself. I know I'm probably over time, but I just want to share one last idea. A lot of people ask me where I get my inspiration from. A lot of people ask me where I get my energy from. I'm up at 5 or 6 a.m. every morning, responding to emails, writing content, doing what I need to do to get to that next level, working on music. Where do I get my inspiration from? This Thursday, I'm driving down with my family to a family reunion down in South Carolina. And that's where you can find the answers to those questions. Because my inspiration, my energy comes from knowing where I come from. It comes from knowing my history. It comes from knowing the generations of my ancestors that went through the most degrading circumstances and made it through with passion because they had the hope that one day I could be in the position that I am today. It comes from knowing that my great-grandparents and my grandparents did not have the possibility of going to college. Stanford was not an option. But you know what they did? They worked multiple jobs, barely making more than a few dollars an hour to this day because they had the hope that one day I could do something greater, and all you're telling me is all I have to do is wake up at 5 a.m. to check some emails. That's easy. Who am I not to do that? Who are we not to bring all of ourselves to the world every single day. Who are we not to do that? So I've done a little research, and this industry, transportation, is one of the largest in the world. The need of transportation, it's like food and water, it's not going anywhere. The possibilities are endless. I just want to tell the scholars here today that whatever your aspiration is, maybe it's another internship, another program next summer, maybe it's a GPA that you want by the end of graduation, maybe it's that first job after graduation. You can do 10 times more, whatever it is. 10 times more. Don't ever doubt the greatness that you come from and the greatness that is within you, and realize that you're not doing this alone. It's not happening in isolation at all. If you look around the room right now, the people that are behind me, people that invited you here, all around the room, you're not here to stand in their shadows. You're here to stand on their shoulders. You're not You weren't brought here just to accept their ideas, accept what they've done, and be fine with that. You're here because you have the potential to take their ideas to a new level, to add your own twist, to write new music in the world, whatever that means to you. I'd like to close out by playing one more piece for you all tonight. It's an original composition I wrote last year that a few of you may have heard, and I add my own twist to something from the past. It's my own variation of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now coming back to the stage to present this year's scholarships, the chair of the COMTO Scholarship Committee, Ms. Tracy Bessalou.
Thank you. Kai, he just disappeared, but I just want to thank you for that. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for that inspirational message. You know, Kai spent a few minutes with the committee a couple of days ago, and he just asked us one question, and he wanted to know the message we wanted the audience to know while we were here, and we just gave him a few words, and he took those few words and turned that into this inspirational message. And we just told him that we wanted him to know that what we saw in our scholarship winners and our interns and in all the youth that participate in COMTO is that their potential is unlimited, and that whatever dream they have right now, we know is too small. And he took those few words and turned that into this inspirational message for us, so I am just pleased by that. And there's no mistake about names. His name is Kai Kight. A kite flies high and he soars like the wind. There's no mistaken name, so I think that is just wonderful and inspirational. We're gonna make a practice of defining our purpose going forward. I just want to introduce the scholarship committee. The scholarship committee is made up of industry professionals who volunteer to support the youth in this organization. And as I call your name, I'd just like to ask you to stand up. And audience, if you can please hold your applause till the end. Kim Avery, Michigan. Colleen Bembry, Colorado. Charles Cave, Houston. Celeste Chavis, Maryland. Beverly Cole, Atlanta. Farstine Coons, Philadelphia. Annie Duran, New York. Barbara Gannon at large. Raynard Hughes, Philadelphia. Roma Mackenzie Campbell, Boston. Helen McSwain, Atlanta. Michelle Ray, Philadelphia. Melissa Rolls Scott, Miami. Paralee Shivers, Houston. Roosevelt Stripling, Atlanta. Deborah Underwood at large. And Carla Williams from Central Florida. These are the individuals that give selflessly of their time, and I'd like for you to give them a round of applause now. Thank you. So as a logistical note, we'll get started with the program. We'll ask our presenters as well as the scholarship winners, once you receive your scholarship, if you can just step behind the red curtain for a picture opportunity. So without further ado, we'll get started. Presenting the Atkins North America Scholarship will be Senior Manager at Atkins, Helen McSwain.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Tracy. And certainly on behalf of the committee, we really want to thank Tracy too. She's just been fantastic as the leader for the scholarship committee. A lot of work goes into the process, so she does it so gracefully, so thank you for your commitment. On behalf of Atkins North America and its 16,000 employees worldwide, we are indeed very pleased to award our 2 scholarships. One of our awardees is here, one is not, and I'm looking at your beautiful face here. So I want to tell you a little bit about our first awardee. The criteria for the Atkins, the first award we have is the Atkins Achievement Scholarship. And this particular scholarship, we decided that having something for high school students who are going into college, that it's important to identify something that we can find these kids early, let them know that we're going to support them as they take off from high school into college. The criteria for this award is this high school student must be accepted into an accredited university. They must have a 3.0 GPA and pursuing some STEM-related discipline. Atkins is very proud to give this award this year to Justin Barron. Justin is an upcoming freshman at SUNY Maritime College in New York, and he'll be studying marine operations. And Justin's not here, right? No. So we will definitely make sure we get Justin, and that is a $2,500 scholarship. Our second scholarship recipient, I'm all excited. You want to start coming up, dear? Myra Perez Calderon. Yes. Myra is the 2015 Atkins Leadership Scholar recipient. Myra is currently enrolled at the University of La Verne in Ontario, California. She's pursuing a public administration degree. One of the things that's very interesting, and we are just really impressed, that Myra is the first in her family to pursue a college degree. So we are particularly, so on behalf of Atkins, we are truly pleased to award Myra with a $2,500 scholarship. Thank you.
Presenting for CH2M, it's Tom Donahue.
So our scholarship, Mara, you want to come up so everybody knows who you are? So I've had a brief time to meet Mara. I must say she's both a visionary in that she knows what she wants to do at such a young age, which is be a transportation engineer, and enough of a realist to know that that could change every year of her college career. She also has a vision of working for the Federal Highway Administration sometime in the future, which is terrific. Yay. And she'll be attending Georgia Tech in the fall. So congratulations. Thank you.
Presenting the Infrastructure Engineering Scholarship will be Clarice Davidson.
Good afternoon. The Infrastructure Engineering Scholarship is awarded to a college student enrolled in the field of transportation, engineering, planning, or a related discipline. The winner of this year's scholarship is Lacey Malone. Lacey, will you join me? Lacey's studying pre-med, and just want to say to Lacey, I was a pre-med major, and just look where it got me. So we're expecting her in transportation in the future. And I have something for you.
Presenting 3 scholarships for the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers is Diane Babineau.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm going to stick to the script of what our chairperson had given us. She said stick to the script. But anyway, this is all about the young people here today. So without further ado, the first IAM scholarship is awarded to Mackenzie Bradford. And Mackenzie Bradford is a college student in the field of transportation, engineer, or planning. So she is currently studying biology, environmental science at Wake Forest University. I give you Mackenzie Bradford. Thank you. Okay. The next one, which he is not presently here, is the International Association of Machinists Scholarship, which is honored by our International President, Robert Thomas Buffenbarger. That is a presidential scholarship. The winner is Chase Roberts, who is a financial major at Hampton University. He is unable to be here today, but presently the scholarship is for $4,000. And last, the third IMAW scholarship is a presidential award, and it goes to Auntie Anna Branch, who is studying computer engineering at the University of Virginia. Thank you. Thank you.
Presenting the Jacobs Engineering Scholarship, donated through the Julie Cunningham Fund, will be Highway Department Manager, Jacobs Engineering, Mr. Derek Vincent.
Good afternoon. The Jacobs Engineering Scholarship is presented to an undergraduate or graduate student enrolled in an accredited college, university, or vocational technical institution. The winner of this year's award goes to Dana Tzabi, a geography student from the University of West Georgia.
I'm going to do a little mid-course correction. I'm going to ask our scholarship winners to stand up and come to the side and be ready to come up when your name is called. That will help us move the program along a little faster. Our next scholarship is presented, the LTK scholarships are presented by Mr. Christopher Packer.
I'm sorry, Richard.
Hi, Chris is my twin brother. So LTK is be presenting two scholarships. The first one is the LTK Engineering Scholarship is awarded to an undergraduate student entering their junior or senior year, or a graduate student pursuing a degree in engineering or other technical transportation related disciplines. The winner is Devon Farrell, studying civil engineering at Kennesaw University. He wasn't able to make it here today, but his scholarship is going to be $6,000. The second scholarship by LTK for LTK Transportation Planning Scholarship is awarded to an undergraduate student entering his or her junior or senior year, or a graduate student who's pursuing a degree in transportation planning. The recipient is Daniel Oldham, studying civil engineering at North Carolina A&T. He also couldn't be here, but his scholarship is $5,000. To the city interns, to the scholarship recipients from LTK, you're on the right track. Thank you.
Presenting the scholarships for Parsons Brinkerhoff is Ms. Tanya Adams.
Parson Brinkerhoff would like to award Mr. Jamari Taylor. He's getting the Engineering and Scholarship awarded for a graduating high school student, college student, or graduate student who has expressed an interest in the field of transportation. He is attending East Michigan University. Our second engineering award goes to Mr. William Everett. He can't be with us today. He is studying industrial engineering at the University of North Carolina A&T. All right. Our third scholarship is the Golden Apple Scholarship. It's awarded to a graduating high school student who has the desire to work in the field of transportation in the discipline area of finance, marketing, or communications. And that's being awarded to Ms. Desiree Atkins. That's a high school student for you. This fourth one is kind of hard for me. This fourth award is a Parson Brinkerhoff Women in Leadership Award. It was developed for my coworker, who became my friend, who became my sister, and my confidant. It's in honor of Miss Tracy Besselou. It's awarded to a woman who's pursuing her advanced degree and exemplifies leadership. Miss Deja Jackson.
Congratulations. Thank you. We'll take care of the picture. We'll take your pictures on there. And we'll get them all. Now I'd like to ask my partners in crime, Mr. Raynard Hughes and Deborah Underhood, who's our academic advisor, to join me on the stage to present the national scholarships. Raynard?
Good afternoon, COMTO. I'm here to present the Thomas G. Newsom's Founders Scholarship. It is awarded to an undergrad student or a grad student enrolled in an accredited college or university or vocational technical institution. This year's winner is Malcolm Jackson. Malcolm is attending Radford University in Public Relations and Marketing. This is a young man that's been taking pictures all weekend long.
I am presenting the Rosa L. Parks Scholarship, who is awarded to graduating high school student or currently enrolled college student studying in the transportation discipline. The recipient or their parent must be a COMTO member and in good standing. The winner is Wesley Pratt, studying event management at the University of Central Florida. And we're sorry that Wesley could not be in attendance with us today. Our next scholarship is the Carmen E. Turner Scholarship. It is awarded to an undergraduate or graduate student enrolled in an accredited college, university, vocational, or technical institution. The recipient must be a COMTO member in good standing for at least 1 year. The winner is Asquin Nichols, who is studying transportation engineering at the University of Texas, Austin. And I hope I pronounced your first name correctly. Close enough? Thank you. Go right ahead.
So I just want to thank you, COMTO, because tomorrow's not promised. So I'd like to thank the COMTO Scholarship Committee for bestowing upon me this great award. I'd like to thank all the donors here and not here who have made this scholarship possible. I'd like to thank once again LTK Engineering for funding the scholarship that I was awarded last year. And I'd also like to thank COMTO National for inviting me to this conference, because I believe that is the best part of being a scholarship awardee. It's such a great honor to be at a conference where I'm versed with people who are a part of the field that I've been wanting to go into for quite some time. So I want to thank some of the people who have made that possible. I want to thank all the organizers at COMTO who work day and night to make this conference possible. I'd like to thank all the speakers who talked to me, the other scholars, and the interns about what we need to do to not only meet the standards that they have set, but exceed them. I'd like to thank all the representatives of the public and private sector who have come to talk to us about what is going on in the current transportation industry. I'd like to thank our host, the City of Boston, the Boston Park Plaza, and I also like to thank the food staff who have worked tirelessly. I'm serious, who have worked tirelessly to make this a pleasant experience for us. And last but not least, I would like to thank all who are here, all who are not here, and all who have passed, who have sacrificed so much for us to be here and for us to take up the baton. Thank you.
So now you see what our future leaders are like. Aspen is a perfect example.
What'd you say? You have to say it again. I didn't hear.
The North Carolina A&T State University Matching Scholarship is awarded to a North Carolina A&T State University junior or senior in the field of transportation. The winner for the matching scholarship is Theodore Stevens, studying supply chain management, of course, at North Carolina A&T State University.
Thank you.
Must be Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride. Aggie Pride.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Want to say thank you?
Oh, yeah, sure. All right. Okay, so first of all, let me just thank Miss Underwood, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even know what supply chain even is, so, I wouldn't even be here. So I also want to thank, my parents for being there to support me, making sure that, they work hard so that they can make sure that I stay in school, I can concentrate on my grades, not ever have to worry about, not having enough money to eat or anything like that. And I want to thank, just COMTO as a whole. I think that this has been a very, very unique experience. Probably this is the first time I've ever been able to experience anything like that. So thank you very much for that. I enjoyed listening to all the speeches that you all gave us. You all had some words of wisdom to pass on to us, and so I want to thank you for that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
We'll take pictures after. Okay. Renan, you want to come up? Oh, Trailblazers. You want to go?
Okay.
Go ahead.
The next scholarship recipient is for the Trailblazer Scholarship, and it's awarded to an undergrad student or graduate student enrolled in an accredited college, university, or vocational technical institute. This year's recipient is Amani Collier. Amani is studying business administration at Bruno University. And she's not a shy young lady.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. First, I would love to take this opportunity to thank COMTO and the Trailblazer Scholarship Committee for selecting me as a scholarship recipient, along with the support and encouragement from my family. It is an honor and a privilege to receive your support to continue my college education at Brown University. In addition to receiving this honor, it was also a rewarding experience to participate in the conference activities and to meet the interns, fellow scholars, and other inspirational individuals this weekend. It's an experience that I appreciate and will never forget. Thank you again for this opportunity, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
At this time, we'll bring Warren Montague to the mic to present our legacy scholarships.
Good afternoon, COMTO. I know you all had a lot of a good lunch, and just want to give you a little history about what we're getting ready to present. For those of you who've been around COMTO for some time, you know we had a fearless leader, and unfortunately to her sudden departure of us, we established under the direction of the board what is now known as the Julie Cunningham Legacy Scholarship. That scholarship is a program that now what we're doing is soliciting funds through your donations to continue the legacy of Julie, to adding additional opportunities for students throughout transportation. And I believe somewhere on your tables should be an envelope. If not, we need to get the legacy envelopes out, and we would like for you to take a moment to look at it and make a small donation. We'll take $1,000 and above. But anything helps. So realistically, those of you who can afford more, everything helps, and because of that, we're able to start this project today by awarding 2 scholarships. Where's the other one? Okay. I understand that the undergraduate gentleman is not here today, but his name is Keontae Bush, and he'll be receiving a scholarship from us to assist his undergraduate work. He is studying transportation systems engineering. Now that's a first, okay, at Morgan State University. Okay. Now this next scholarship, and I need to add a little bit to this because this speaks to how COMTO takes care of its own. Okay. This young lady that I'm about to bring to the stage currently is a sitting president of one of our chapters. She happens to reside in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago. And she is none other but the president of the COMTO chapter, Ms. Eunice Escobar. I got you. I needed to give her full array. Step right over here, please. Okay. Ms. Escobar is studying for her master's degree in public information at the Illinois Institute of Technology. This is one of COMTO's own. It looks like she has a 4-page speech up here, so I'm not sure, if we can do all of that.
Well, I'm glad that my co-partner is not receiving his award, so I get to take his 2 minutes. I just want to thank everybody, especially Ms. Tracy Bashikalup. Your leadership is remarkable, and you are one of the women that I look up to in COMTO. Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank God for allowing us to be here today and for guiding our founding members to create this amazing organization. As Secretary Slater indicated, we stand in the shoulder of our predecessors. We are here today because of the struggle of those before us. Today we have women like Tanya Adams, Maria Teresa Roman, Dr. Kendra Jackson, Divan Jackson, and others, and Miss India Bertson, my past president, whom at very young age became a CEO because people like Shirley DeLibero and Julie Cunningham opened the doors for us. And I want to recognize those efforts. It is with great confidence, humbleness, and great appreciation that I accept the Julie Cunningham Scholarship Award. I want to especially thank all the COMTO Board of Directors, the Scholarship Committee, and members of COMTO, plus everybody else that I shock. Thanks for acknowledging my work as president of COMTO Chicago, program manager at the Regional Transportation Authority in Illinois, board member of the Chicago Religious Leadership Network on Latin America, and member of the Afro-Colombian Solidarity Network in the USA. I love my country of origin, Colombia, 27 years ago, determined to pursue higher education. However, as a low-income foreign student, higher education was not affordable to me. I, as many other immigrants, stayed in this country for many reasons. While awaiting for my work status to be legalized, I worked cleaning houses, taking care of elderly people, midnight shifts at candy factories, and delivering newspapers. Jobs that I performed with great passion. Once my legal status was obtained, my career in public transportation flourished. Here at the conference, we hear from Dr. Ogletree the importance of education to succeed. I also learned a few bits of wisdom concerning characteristics of success. One is about persistence. One must be persistent in attaining goals and in spite of obstacles that may get in your way. Don't give up. Persistence is the motivation. Second, I learned that having a plan and being flexible is essential on the road of success. Lastly, I learned that giving back is the most valuable characteristic of a successful person. Our speakers also told us the importance of being courageous as our predecessors. Obviously, I am not a woman afraid to get what I came for. So now, 27 years later, and if you're doing the math, you know now my age, but I get to be called young woman all the time, which is the best thing about being here. As an Afro-Colombian USA citizen, have raised as a single mom 2 wonderful first-generation born United States citizens. I am a homeowner in the great city of Chicago, a bilingual professional and a small business owner, a grassroots organizer, and advocate for international and local human rights, as well as a full-time student receiving financial aid to complete my dream of obtaining a master's degree in public administration. I want to leave you with some words of wisdom I collected through this conference. Diversity has a strength. Diversity brings qualities that complement each other. Therefore, we move forward together, embracing diversity. We are bound together because together we will succeed. Thank you, COMTO, for your commitment to leveling the playing field in the transportation industry and your commitment to support education. May peace and kindness favor all of you. Long live COMTO, viva COMTO. Thank you.
Clearly, that's an example. It's not where you start, it's where you end. That's what COMTO is all about. And I believe I'm done, and I can turn the mic back over to our fearless leader of this event.
Thank you. I wanted to just let the audience know that we not only give out scholarships at this event, but there are also opportunities throughout the year, so continue to check the COMTO website for additional opportunities. One in particular is the Bob Prince Eno Foundation Scholarship after our chairman, Bob Prince. That application is currently available, and so please check our website and also the Eno Foundation website for additional information. We'd like to also introduce Colonel Jim Page. I don't think I need to introduce him, but I will anyway. Jim Page has been a fearless soldier for this organization for as long as I've been a part of it, and that's been 6 years, but I know that his work has gone on before that. He is a fearless leader, passionate about the students that we have here, and not only the students, but about the professionals that we have in this organization. As we've seen throughout this conference, he's given of himself selflessly so that we can afford to continue to stand on the shoulders of those that came before us. And so it's my pleasure to introduce to you Colonel Jim Page.
Good afternoon. Before we get started, next year for the folks in Dallas, the conference will be kind of hard to beat. Admin announcement, at 6 o'clock today, Dallas will give you a preview of things to come next year. Now to the matters at hand. This is good stuff. First to the Scholarship Committee, Tracy. We had $85,000 in scholarships this year, and Renard came up and said, we need to do better. So from among all of you guys, let me proudly announce that because of you at this conference, we now have $102,000 in scholarships. And 2,000 is mine, right? Matters at hand. Marshi, welcome to our world. We're so pleased to have you. Chairman Prince, thank you so much for your leadership, not just for what you've done, but who you are. Thank you so much. Shirley, your legacy leads us. Thank you so much. And to the Boston chapter, for the last 6 months, we've had the pleasure with our staff of being here with you every day, every week. So you're making this thing work. Rose, thank you so much. So to all of us here, we got a good conference. We've got a good conference. So if you look in the back of the room, the reason is that those folks in the back have the same view that the folks in the front do, and only at COMTO is this entire playing field level, and that's who we are. So thank you. Now to the city interns, I just need you to stand up. If you're an intern, just kind of stand up. I won't take the time to name each one of them. Just give them a hand. Five years ago, Julie met with the folk in Philly, and we had 7 interns. And because of the collective works of Jerry Primo and Diana Mendez and all those folks who support you and us, we now have 43 interns. So let's give our sponsors a hand. There's a lot more to be done. Our goal is to double that. Yeah. God, I hate it when they tell me to do that. Is it, yes, you should walk across the stage as I'm coming. Just come up to the stage so people can see you and get that photo op. Come quickly, my children, quickly. Okay. Anytime, Isaiah, take your hands out of your pocket. Let's go. Come on, come on, come on. As they're coming to the stage, the highlight of each of these interns' time with us is their first interview. They get the opportunity to cry, and cry some more. So to my COMTO family and friends, as these guys just stroll to the stage, like they're in California, Dante just strolling up, Eric, anytime this week, guys, you know, anytime, any day that ends in AY would be okay. Just get over Dejanay. All the guys, put your hands up in the air so we can see them. There you go. Their hands in the air. I present to you, my friends, the class of 2015. Now they all each get 10 minutes to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before we end this session, it would be remiss of me not to recognize our scholarship donors. We have awards for each of you. If you could pick them up after the program, we'd appreciate that. And please hold your applause until the end, until I have announced all of the donors. We have COMTO Philadelphia, COMTO San Antonio. Our sponsors, oh, I thought they were scrolling on the screen. They will be in a few minutes. We have Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, LTK, COMTO Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Southern California, our chapters, Arizona, Atlanta, Austin, Maryland, Michigan, Columbus, Kansas City, Chicago, Colorado, New York, Central Florida, and Miami. Sarita Edwards, Fortis Networks, and thank you to all of you who I haven't named but have donated so generously to our scholarship fund. We really appreciate the support that you give us this year and the years in past. So without further ado, we'd like to close the ceremony and ask our sponsor, Chris Packer, to come up and give the closing remarks.
Thanks. Well, I guess the scholarship recipients need to take public speaking as their primary course of study going forward. But once again, on behalf of LTK Engineering Services, and we really appreciate the opportunity to support. We hope you had a great day and have a great rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask that all of the scholars, sponsors, and the board of directors remain in the room while everyone clears the room? Thank you.
COMTO is also requesting that